Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Coach Dustin Goodwin Show on WGOL. The Coach Dustin Goodwin Show is sponsored by Russell Mayor David Grissom. I'm Caden Pounders, the host, and I am joined, as always, by a coach of the Golden Tigers, Dustin Goodwin. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Coach, you had a bye week last week, so we'll talk first about the game 2 weeks ago against Ardmore on the road at Ardmore. You guys came away with a 42-7 win. Talk about that region win 2 weeks ago, and great performance all around. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, I mean, I was really proud of our kids and we know what they were able to put together and accomplish in that game. All three phases of the game went well, and not one of those games to where we did everything perfect. You can hardly get one of those, but we're very productive. Had some explosive plays offensively. Played well in the kicking game. Only had the one blunder coming out of halftime, and thought our defense played well for the most part. And but unfortunately gave up a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Which led to their only score of the game. And credit to Ardmore for continuing to play hard and to fight and get points on the board. But it was definitely, our defense wanted the zero, and so they were a little upset about that. But like you said, you go on the road in this region where the margin for error is getting smaller and smaller by the year because of the quality of coaching staff and players on the field each and every week. And so to go on the road and get a big win and have a good night statistically as well on both sides of the ball, it was good to see.
I know you're a team guy, but a good night, a very good night statistically for your quarterback, Whit Goodwin. Had 371 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns to 3 different guys. Ben Pounders had 2 of those. Another player that I think kind of, I know I feel like he's kind of underrated. All he does for the team. But can you talk kind of about the performance from your quarterback? I think probably his best game of the season to this point.
Yeah, I mean, he played well, and there's it's more than just throwing and catching the ball and handing it off. There's a lot of decisions that he has to make on the fly in the run and passing game, and the sort of thing that a lot of people don't see is the pass plays that are called when they're covered really well. When he's able to get out of the pocket and move the chains and keep us on schedule. And he did have a really good night, and that's a credit to the guys up front, the receivers making the catches and being in the right space and blocking on the perimeter and whole deal. We ran a few speed sweeps, and those are forward passes which led to some of the big gains. But all in all, I thought he had a really good night, and I think the whole offense did as far as the stats are concerned.
Yeah, I think an underrated part of Witt's game is I remember 2 drives specifically where he extended the drive with a third down run. Decided he didn't need to pass it and just decided to run with it and got the first down. So probably more maturity from him this year in his sophomore season. Defensively, another great game by you guys. You were just talking a few minutes ago before we went on air about some of your linebackers, Braxton Duncan and Kiefer Hallmark, who had a lot of tackles in that game against Ardmore. But going to this week, Russellville is, I think, 10th or 11th in scoring defense in Class 5A. So can you just talk a little bit more about your defense and specifically what you saw for them against Ardmore?
Well, just like on the offensive side of the ball, defensively as we go through the season, I mean, we were so inexperienced as the season opened. We have a couple of seniors, but a lot of underclassmen. So the assignment and the fits and the how do you take on blocks and the coverages and all those things. I mean, that takes time and opportunities really to get really good at, and they've continued to get better throughout the course of the year. You mentioned the linebackers and the tackles. I mean, Braxton Duncan had 20 tackles and Kiefer Hallmark had 18 total tackles, and so those guys are playing well together and doing their jobs. But for them to be able to make those plays, it takes the other guys in the box to funnel the ball back to them. So people are in the right spot. We don't have many busts. Coach Ballantyne and our defensive staff are doing a really good job of prepping for the game days and putting our guys in the right position. And we get them out there and they just have to play. And last Friday night or 2 Friday nights ago against Ardmore, they had a really nice night as well.
Last week you guys obviously had a bye week. Can you kind of take me? We talked about it a couple weeks ago on the show, but what did you guys do during the bye week? How did the bye week go? And kind of what point did you guys start kind of focusing more on Fairview specifically?
Well, we still, came in and met that following Sunday to sort of wrap up the game, and so we could start our corrections with our kids. We didn't bring the kids in; we never do on the weekends. But so we spent Monday's meeting time on the game. We did not have a game last week, as you stated. So Monday we really had a JV focused practice because we don't get to spend a ton of time with them. So our starters essentially served our JV kids, and that's good to see. Because they take a servant's type role again, and allows them to serve their backups and the people that are serving them all year. And so that was a good day for us. Tuesday we were able to go in the mornings. We went in the morning so that we could go support our volleyball team, which we don't get the opportunity to do much. They had a big area match against Moulton, and we were fortunate to play well. I think our girls fed off of that energy, and they're having a really good year, and we're proud of them. And hey, we can't be there more often, to be honest with you, but being that they're both during the fall, it's hard to do. And so when we get those opportunities, we want to take them. And Wednesday we came in and worked, and then we were able to rest a little bit Thursday and Friday. But as you go through the week, the Tuesday and Wednesday practices, we started honing in and sort of game planning. So it gave us a 2-day head start on this week's game.
All right, Coach, anything you want to add about last game against Ardmore?
No, I'm good.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get Coach Goodwin's thoughts on this very important road region game at Fairview tonight. You're listening to the Coach Dustin Goodwin Show, sponsored by Russell Mayor David Grissom. We'll be right back here on WGOL. Welcome back to the Coach Dustin Goodwin Show, presented by Russell Mayor David Grissom. Coach, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but what's been the mood, at practice? You're going into a big game, a huge region game, and obviously, if anybody knows about the game last year, it's probably an instant classic. So people know this game is going to be a good one. But for you guys and the players, what was the mood at practice? What was the vibe like?
Well, it was a really good week. You start off with a young team, and they're trying to figure out how to win. And unfortunately for us, the first 2 weeks didn't go as we had hoped. But I think there were some valuable lessons within those 2 weeks that we were able to learn about ourselves and our kids and the situations they were in, and how they responded. When their backs were against the wall or when things weren't going very well. And so we were able to address some of those. And then when region play started, we started getting hot a little bit. So. We really feel like we've improved each and every week, and we hope we've made those improvements this week, the last week and a half as well. And they're excited. I mean, this proved to be the region championship game last year when the season was over with, and it could be that again, but we didn't know till the season was over that was the case. So, for us, it's another opportunity to get out and perform and play and do something that we love to do, and we're having a lot of fun doing, and against a really high quality opponent. I mean, Fairview's ranked 5 or 6 in the state, and in the power rankings that one of the websites do, I think they're up to 3. Because they calculate the strength of schedule and points scored and given up and all those things. So they're a really good football team. And we know we're going to have to play well to have a chance to win, but we expect that they're going to have to play well to have that same chance to beat us. So we're going to strap it up and go over there and look forward to having a good night.
We talk. A lot of talk is, on players going into big games. Obviously, like we said, a big game. Fairview ranked number 3 according to the Alabama Sports Writers Association going into this game. But for you, Coach, I kind of wanted to ask you like a coach's psychology question. We talk a lot about players, but for you going into a game like this, do you how do you prepare? How are you feeling going into a big game? And, do you get nervous, and how do you try to cope with that?
Well, people probably think I'm crazy, but I think that, through the course of preparation on Sundays or whenever you get to see your opponent for the first time and you start game planning, I think that's probably when most of the, I guess, quote-unquote anxiety runs into it or works itself in, because you haven't quite gotten it all figured out yet. And I don't know that we ever really do. But we have a really good plan in place, and by the time Friday gets here, most of the work that I can do is done. And our job is just to put our kids in the best position possible in the heat of the moment, to keep our wits about us and not get too emotionally high or low, and be that constant in the storm for our kids, so that they have the confidence and security in themselves and in their coaches that everything's going to be all right, and just expect them to fight, and to keep playing and give themselves the best chance to be successful. And really, that's all we can ask them to do. It's the most important one because it's the next one, But there's a part of me that thinks the outcome is sort of predestined anyway, as long as we do our part and are working to try to figure out a solution. So not a whole lot of stress and anxiety goes into it. Just glad we get the opportunity to do it.
As I mentioned in the last segment, you guys have the number 10 or 11 scoring defense. Fairview comes in this game as a top 10 scoring defense as well. Both of you guys, Fairview averages about 40, and you guys average around 30 points per game. So you have that going into it, but X's and O's, what can fans expect from Fairview? What have you guys seen on film that you can relay to fans, and what do you think are the keys to winning this football game tonight?
Well, I think the keys are simple. It's just about like every other game. I mean, if we know our assignments and we execute them to our ability and don't have those busts, so that's definitely extremely important. The tale of 2 games as far as that goes is probably the first half against East Limestone and then the Ardmore game. The game planning stays the same. The execution has to be high, and so we have to have that. Fairview's kind of like us. They've got guys playing on both sides of the ball. The quarterback and running back are back, and they're both really good players. And they have a couple of complementary guys and slot receivers and backup running backs that are able to help, and they're good players too. So we know defensively we're going to have to tackle and be where we're supposed to be. We know offensively we're going to have to block, and the ball is going to have to go where they're not. And then we have to take care of the football and win the turnover battle and the kicking game. And, if we play our best game, I feel pretty good about it.
Last week, 2 weeks ago against Ardmore, you talked about, kind of your strategy was to get the ball on the perimeter against some of their bigger guys. They have a bigger team. And so your strategy was kind of get the ball at the perimeter and use your speed. And that's worked well for you guys this season. Do you plan on taking that same kind of strategy into this game, or do you come up with something different?
Well, I think that's always going to be part of our game plan, is spreading the ball around and making defenses run a little bit and trying to go where they're not. And some of it depends on defensive structure. Different defenses have different strengths and weaknesses, so we try to attack the weaknesses, obviously. And some of it's just, how the flow of the game goes. Their coaching staff's no different than ours. They're going to try to find our flaws and exploit them and find what we do best and take it away. And it just comes down to execution on the field and how our kids play.
Well, I'll probably beat the potential region championship horse to death. But whoever wins this game tonight will potentially have sole possession of first place in the region. So there are heavy stakes in this game. Is there anything you tell your team going into a heavyweight region matchup like this?
Well, I mean, I think any game you play, obviously if we take care of the ball and do the things that we've talked about, but the most physical team is going to win the game most of the time. And we know that Fairview is a team that's not going to quit, and we expect our kids not to quit and don't think they will. And so it's going to be a 4-quarter game, and those games typically come down to 3 or 4 plays, and we've got to win those plays. And last year, unfortunately, we didn't, and we were in a dogfight to the very end and fell just short. So our kids know that. Our kids are ready to play, and I think they're going to have a good night.
Anything else you want to add about Fairview, Coach?
No, I'm good.
All right, Coach. Well, we thank you for your time, and good luck tonight against Fairview.
Thank you. Go Golden Tigers.
We hope you'll join us here again on WGOL at the same time next week. You've been listening to the Coach Dustin Goodwin Show, sponsored by Russellville Mayor David Grissom. Have a good Friday night.